Neoclassical movement and the Romantic movement of French art. Two different eras, really. And girondet is a transition between those. Girondet grew up in Montargis. A beautiful town east-west between Troyes and Orléans. The town of Montargis perhaps contributed something of his love of the sensual, the mysterious, and eventually the sublime. It's a very beautiful town. It's a Venice of central France, might be going a bit far, but the water backdrop is never too far away, and the girls' school up on the cliff in the old chateau isn't really accessible. But you can walk up there and have a quick look at the architecture. Girondet trained as an architect to start off with. He was something of a rebel of the neoclassical realm, but made his work into something unique towards the Romantic movement. This was 1780, not 1880. He was one of several, rather than changing the direction of world art all by itself. Sublime is the beautiful yet terrifying, the duality of nature and man, moulding the neoclassical into something more raw and extreme. Romanticism had a strong focus on nature as it epitomises the beauteous yet horrifying of the world around us. Géricault, his colleague, The Raft of Medusa, his work, out of the ordinary for its time, was prodigious work based on a current event. The piece brought the topic of nepotism and its inherent issues to the forefront of higher social regard. Orientalism was becoming popular as a response to Napoleonic French occupation in Egypt. It was a propaganda as well as a fascination. I'd like to show you the work of his colleague, but sadly I'm not sure YouTube would let me. It's one of those typical Arab prince scenes where there's various semi-clad females lying around, perhaps finished with sexually, and servants bringing in the next ones with varying degrees of reluctance. It's a bit like an orgy scene, but with typical Bacchus-like figures throughout. Very fluid and sensuous in its layout, and very colourful and flamboyant. Sorry, a healthy fear of YouTube policies is sensible. Romanticism perhaps came out of the School of David painting school. The fluidity tends to say that it's not really the same thing. Portrait of Jean-Baptiste Bellay was politically and socially charged. A black man looking quite regal, but it comes across as something flirtatious and elegaic. There's a security in French duality. When portraying a Haitian revolutionary, mournful but a sultry lean, a favourite pose. I think the revolutionary is supposed to be sad about the death of an abolitionist, the bust. An appreciation for the male form as more than historical ideal, and Girondet's homosexuality went hand in hand. The Romanticists painted work of their own volition, finding that the message and its exposure was important. A very romantic way of thinking. He did paint a Venus. I'm not sure if I can show you that either. Mademoiselle Lang is considered an erotic style, a beacon of sensuality, bursting with sublimity, beauty and context, but a dual nature. He makes a critique of the subject herself while she's laying her attributes bare. Mademoiselle Lang didn't like the first painting. Second was a direct rebuttal of the distaste for the original, scathing. But more generally, between Romanticism and prior neoclassical Greek and Roman figures and myths, there's a flirtation with the softness and frivolity of Rococo, though still maintaining the historical figure's dignity. A virgin choosing God and death over her boyfriend, who she never fully experiences, is that tragic romantic scene that is perhaps his best. The hubris of the propaganda of Napoleon in the spirit of French heroes into Odin's paradise. His working at night eventually led to his poor health and poorer work. the town of Montargis, there's a quality museum with a beautiful location that's worth a visit as well as just strolling around. Pick up some saffron grown locally. It's in the centre of the Val de Loire. Numerous canals and bridges. The medieval charm is retained.
Il était une fois un homme nommé Aubry de Montdidier, aussi noble de cœur que de naissance.
It was a stronghold of Frankish King Clovis I. Eleanor Plantagenet, daughter of King John of England, died here 1275, that was.
C'était un proche du roi et celui-ci avait une grande confiance en son jugement.
The chateau on a hill was a royal residence in the 14th and 15th centuries.
Mais cela lui valut des jalousies et un courtisan, Macaire.
The Earl of Warwick besieged it in the 100 Years' War. The residents of Montargis sabotaging the dikes, advertising the ponds, then drowning some of the besieging Plantagenets. And then Joan of Arc came along and saved the day. Joan of Arc came back to what's now the girls' school on the hill, chateau, when she was injured after the besieging Paris.
En prit tellement l'orage qu'il en vint à nourrir les plus noirs des saints. Un jour qu'Aubry partit en forêt avec son chien, Macaire le suivit, le tua, puis il l'enterra et s'en revint à Paris. Faire bonne figure auprès du roi. Le chien hurla sur la tombe de son maître.
The town's tax-free status got revoked during the French Revolution, though.
Jusqu'à ce qu'une fois quelqu'un vint et déterra le corps. Mais, évidemment...
The museum of that Romantic movement artist has a bronze of a fight between a dog and a man with a cudgel involved in a trial by combat.
On ne peut en trouver le coupable. Le brave chien s'enfuit alors jusqu'à Paris. De toute la vitesse de ses pattes, arriva à la cour et se mit à grogner, japper et à regrogner de plus belle devant l'assassin de son maître. Le roi, intrigué et ayant eu vent du meurtre de son ami, se douta de quelque chose et déclara: Personne n'a rien pu dire de la mort de mon Didier. Mais...
The dog won and the man, Robert Macaire, confessed to killing his master.
Son chien semble t'accuser. Je ne puis te condamner sur ce seul fait. Aussi justice sera rendue par un duel judiciaire. Toi et ce chien vous affronterez jusqu'à ce que mort s'ensuive, ou que l'un de vous prie grâce.
The dog's remarkable hostility to the killer was what accused him in the first place in the eyes of Charles V of France.
Ainsi, le jour suivant eut lieu le duel. Macaire fendit, tailla, fit mouliner ce bâton de toutes ses forces. Mais jamais il ne touchait le chien, qui esquivait sans relâche, attendant le bon moment.
The Dog of Montargis is a stained glass window and a melodrama that was on stage for years in Paris and in English and in German.
Commençant à fatiguer, Macaire mit toutes ses forces dans un coup latéral terrible. Mais il fut emporté par son propre élan et découvrit sa gorge.
Montargis saw some Huguenots sheltered here, fleeing Paris in the 16th century.
Le chien saisit l'occasion. En un éclair, il était sur lui et ses mâchoires d'acier serraient encore. Macaire hurla. Grâce, monseigneur, grâce. C'est vrai, je l'avoue. J'ai tué Aubry de Montdidier.
The Romantic movement artist's town also has a rubber factory.
Et j'ai enterré son corps. C'était moi. Mais de grâce, ne laissez pas ce chien me dévorer.
In the decade 1910 to 20, Chinese expatriate workers, galoshes producers, became noticeably politically active, which in 2016 was commemorated with the Hunan provincial government of China.
Quelques jours plus tard, Macaire fut pendu. Et le chien, le fidèle chien, retourna sur le domaine de son maître, à qui il avait rendu justice.
2023 saw Arab political riots in the town centre. Perhaps too much sugar, pralines, the crunchy confection made from almonds and caramelised sugar since the reign of Louis XIII. The original shop still in business. And Marshal Proust's book features the Mademoiselle de Montargis, probably some sort of twisted reference to the dog story.